love listening to them guys do their thing. So I work until that's all I want to listen to. I start with the kick drum, and I work on getting the kick drum sounding like I love just listening to the kick drum all by itself. And then I add the snare and the hi-hat. I work on the hi-hat, get the hi-hat all nice and sparkly, and I get a groove with the kick snare and the hi-hat going. And then I add the bass. Sometimes I switch it. Sometimes I bring the lead vocal in next, and I just get them so that they're happening. The next thing would be the rhythm. That would be the piano and skank guitar. Then I start bringing in the melodies, the organ, get the organ going in underneath the rhythm, and all the time, kick, snare, hi-hat, and lead vocal are right there. They're the ones that are on top. And guitars, oh man, especially when Eduardo's playing, whoa. I love just bringing him in, and we have other keyboard parts, we have horns that show up. At some point, I mute the rhythm, and I listen just to melodies, and I love just listening to how the melodies all interact and go with each other. Eventually, I've mixed the entire song, ready for the album. Of course, I send a copy off to Mr. Stafford and check to see what I need to, adjust. And so once the final vocal mix is completed, I've really got a good feeling for what the song is. My approach to the dub is I want the audience to have the same opportunity I had when I was building the song in the first place. So I love working from doing a vocal mix first and then seeing what happens after that. So I like to give sections of the rhythm, sections of the drum and bass, sections of the melodies, sometimes combinations of them, and using echoes and effects, sometimes use those for the transitions between those different parts. But I've been listening to the song enough to know that there are certain parts that I just love them, so I want to make sure that those parts show up. You kind of work it to where it feels good when something's going, and then you want, the drum and bass are hitting, and then you can hear the rhythm just saying, come on, I want the rhythm, I want to come through. And so you switch it back and the drum and bass disappear and the rhythm is there. The fun part is to try and, like when the bass drops out, you've done something with the effects so that you didn't really notice the bass disappear, because now you're focusing on the rhythm or the melody or the echoing of the voice, and you just didn't even notice the bass was gone. So that when that bass comes back, you go, oh my God, that is wicked. The song itself has a certain meaning. It's trying to express an emotional or information. Song's got information in it, but there's always words in there that are like words that, if standing alone, don't really mean anything. But if you hear the words, your thought might be, I wonder what he means when he says that. Now, if you're listening to the whole song, you know that the contents of what the words are. So I usually look for words that would be a phrase that could mean anything on its own. And so that gives the listener the opportunity to figure it out themselves with, why did the guy say, don't do that? You don't know what that means. You don't know what the context was. And maybe there's an instrument that follows that words, don't do that. Or maybe we echo that, don't do that out and let that go while, maybe the lead guitar is doing something.
I noticed on one rock that you grabbed Watties, and you made a whole moment of that.
Well, yes. When I was mixing the vocals, every time that part came up to me, it was like, holy, what's that? Oh man. So that had to be in the dub. And then since we had all that space in the dub, I figured why stop it? So I made it go for a long time. And in the Atmos mix, it's actually going around the room. And it goes all the way around while he's holding that note. I don't just program something. I get the feeling and I say, okay, well, this is what I need to do to have the feeling. But back in the day in the analog world, it was completely, I had no idea what was going to happen next myself. I had no plan. I played a drum and bass, and okay, that feels great. All right. Okay, this may be long enough, and then okay, now I got rhythm. Okay, that's good. And then I got a oi or something coming along, and I throw that in, and next thing you know, it's like solos and stuff. And it's amazing how the song will tell you what's coming next. And that's I'm listening for that. I'm not trying to tell it to do anything. All the Is Vibes mixes and dubs were all done just like that. Recorded the whole band, mixed the final vocal mix with Skelly and Wes and Apple and Dr. Dread in the room, and everybody says, okay, we're good, we love this. And then I run off an instrumental for protection, and then I do with a selector mix, which gets me kind of my mind thinking about what the dub is going to be, and also it gives a chance so that sometimes I would, in the mastering, I would find one little section of my selector mix that maybe when I'm mastering and I'm listening to the vocal mixes, I think, you know what, it'll be kind of exciting if right here the bass dropped out. So I would go to my selector mix and I splice it up into the master so that there would be, just for that one little section, you'd have the straight mix, and then you'd hear a little splashy thing going on that we didn't really have before, but I would just do it when it felt like it. So that's what I would use selector mixes for. But then I'm all geared up for the dub. And usually what I would do at that point I'd maybe spend 5 minutes seeing how I wanted to start. Sometimes I want to start with just the drums. Sometimes I want to start with the bass alone. Sometimes the rhythm. Every song has a different feel. But once I got like the first 30 seconds of the song, like this is what I'm gonna do for the first 30 seconds of the song, I hit record on the 2-track, hit play on the 24-track, do that first 30 seconds that I'd rehearsed, and then I don't know what's gonna happen. Just let the song call. Oh, it's my turn. I want to be the one that's on top. Oftentimes, I don't know what's gonna happen, and I just let them happen. You're trying to create an emotional journey, and again, it starts from figuring out how to start the dub. And that kind of is the roadmap for what's going to happen next. The song really tells me what's next. I really don't try to decide it. But the way I've always done it is this way, and I love it. I know a lot of people can do dubs without any relationship to what the vocal mix was like, and at that point, it's a different product. It's not the same. I mean, some of those are completely not even recognizable to the song because they've done them outside of the vocal mix. And like I said, my dub mixes aren't as splashy as a lot of dub mixes are, because I'm still trying to give the audience the experience I have when I'm initially mixing it as being mixed in sections, so all the sections fit together. For One Rock, since I'm in the computer, I had to go out and buy a controller because I had to be able to play the mutes. In the computer I had a mouse and thing, and I couldn't do it. It was distracting. So I went out and got a controller and had it all set up so I could mute the different sections. and every song's different. You know, you can't. Again, I can't. I don't decide what I want to do. I play with it and say what feels good. So to answer the question about feel, that's all I try to pay attention to. And I want the listener to feel that there's a journey there too.